Hi all, greetings from Europe. Thanks so much for joining us today's session, Mobily Telco Digital Experience Success Story by our business partner Inspire. My name is Antonio Fiol and I am the HCL DX product specialist for the EMEA region. Before we get started, I want to share a few housekeeping notes. This session is being recorded. If you're not comfortable with this, you may drop at any time. Please feel free to submit your questions using the Q&A tool in the lower right of your screen. We are running this session live, so we will do our best to get as many questions as we can at the end of this session. All of the recordings will be available approximately 1 week after the event. With that, let's get started. It is a great pleasure for me to introduce you to Karim Hedaris, Chief Solution Architect for Portal and Mobile Solutions at Inspire, one of our key business partners in Jordan, with presence in several countries in Middle East. Karim will present to us their success story at Mobily, the largest telco in Saudi Arabia. Karim, we are anxious to hear you. The stage is yours.
Thank you, Antonio, for the introduction. Welcome, everybody. A good day for everyone. So my name, as Antonio mentioned, my name is Karim Hedaris. I'm the Chief Architect for Portal Mobile Solutions and Inspire for Solutions Development. I have been in the telecom business for about 10 years now, and we have a lot of presence. If you can go to the next slide for Inspire, please, Antonio. Jason, thank you. For Inspire, we have over 120 IT specialists. We specialize in IT services, pretty much in all the points and scopes inside of it. So we have our own total quality management solutions. We have an enterprise project portfolio where we can control all the ERPs. We may focus mainly on portal and mobile web experience solutions, whether it's using coding, platforms, portals, even one base code implementations. We also focus on low-code, no-code platforms. We have also plenty of implementations, integration, and middleware solutions. We also focus on RPA-based implementations in businesses. Our presence is in the MENA area. We have presence in Iraq, Lebanon, Egypt. We have a good implementation practice in the Gulf region, in Saudi Arabia and Emirates. Our telecom clients for our implementations for the past 10 years was in Saudi Arabia, for example, was for STC and Mobily. In Jordan, it was for Zain Jordan, and Iraq, it was for Zain Iraq. And we have a lot of telecom experience in this area. Next slide, please. So our case for Mobily was doing a deployment and clustering of security and hardening of security in their implementation. Now, for Mobily, for those of you who don't know Mobily is a leading telecom company in Saudi Arabia. It provides solutions for mobile lines, for internet, for VPN, for IT services, for businesses. Mainly, it was using Portal since for about 10 years now. And their last version that they were working on was on version 8. And now recently we have upgraded them to HCL Portal 9 to the best experience that they have. And for them, what they use for the portal is that they focus mainly on the B2B and B2C retail sales and services. What's this being considered is that they use for the self-services dashboard for the customers. For example, they can have a 360 view on all their services and what they're currently registered in, what are their balances, what can they pay for, the invoices and billing. And they can also perform online e-sales. For example, they can order their lines online, and they can register for new services, and they can purchase mobile devices that's provided for them by the B2C. What they have, the initial pains that they have. So we're going to talk a bit about the scope of work that we did for Mobily. Initially, the scope of work was to upgrade their version 8 to the latest version that was available, which is version 9 of Portal. A second part of our scope was to add the business-to-business B2B services to their portal. Now, mainly, the initial pains from Mobily was that they were on version 8. And version 8 during this time is actually out of support. So Mobily had two different approaches on this upgrade. The first upgrade is whether to do it or not. And the second point was, should we go to a different digital experience platform or not? So they were in this mentality where they want to actually go away from IBM Portal during that time, not SCL, and go away to try out different platforms. That was one of their main pains that they had. And second pain was for their business users. Now, for their business users, they had a lot of issues with the web content management. It wasn't friendly for them. They always had to go to the IT business, to the IT support services to let them handle the content and add in new content and manage everything. And the third point was that they had a performance impact on their general implementation of their services. Now, us as Inspire, when we came in with this scope, and we said, okay, we understand your concerns. We know that you're going to have all these performance issues. And what we are going to provide to you is that we will go ahead and perform your upgrade to the new portal with SCL. But we're not going to upgrade it only just so you can be inside of the support agreement that you need. We're going to upgrade so you can utilize the full features of the digital experience of SCL. This means that we're not going to just scope on whatever you have as is and implement it. We're going to enhance this. How did we provide our services for this in kind of enhancement? What we did is that we revised their architecture along with adding the possibility of using a microservice architecture base. As Mobily was going on further on the microservices implementation, so they always wanted to know how can we integrate this within our portal of the new version from SCL. So in this regard, this is what we had the best experience in, and this is what we were able to convince Mobily on, that you guys shouldn't go to a different platform because SCL provides you the best one. And within the internal components of DXP, it allows you to implement all these services inside a microservices architecture. So that was one point that we gained with them that was additional to the main point that they wanted, which is just only to upgrade. The second point was, how can we integrate our own built-in services that we have created for the customers inside a DevOps implementation? This was one of their main pains, and it was an issue on the old environment that they had. Whether it was how they had the environment configured as an architecture and servers, whether they had the implementation of their own services, the code that they have used, the integration features that they use inside Portal, and all of these points that we had to review and manage that using the latest technology inside SCL Portal version 9. So what we did the full utilization of these features. We utilized the features of its microservices platform in order to help Mobily to reach this point inside a DevOps implementation. When we're talking about DevOps, it's a continuous integration, continuous delivery system. That means any kind of change that you have, it usually goes inside the issue tracker. From the issue tracker, you go and you build your source code once you're ready for integration testing or you're ready for production releases. And then from there, we're using the automation code, the automation platform of the DevOps. You do deployments inside your DXP servers in order for the releases to be done with. Another point that we helped them with is that because they had a very old version of Portal, they had to be using the design of the old version. The design of the old version was an obsolete design, had many issues, whether it's from the responsive point of view, whether it's using old design concepts on it. So what we did, we utilized DXP's features in user experience and how we can develop the user experiences inside this new platform to give them a more rich and for business. As you can see inside the snapshot of the case study that we have, this was their old version that they had. Now, if you guys, you can go online and check the new website. You'll see how we implemented the new DXP channel, the DXP implementation, and how it's being responsive now and using the best concepts of it. Another point that we have done is that we actually revised the content structure, the information architecture of the content that was available from Mobily, using the new features of WCM, Web Content Management, and PXP version 9. They had a lot of issues. For example, they had a problem using the rich text editors, where they can embed the images and the videos inside their contents. And they didn't have the ability to do their inline editing of the contents. Now, these are one of the new features that's inside HCL version 9, the new DXP platform, is that they allow these features out of the box. You don't need to do any kind of customized implementation to reach this kind of solution for your business users. So this allows your business users to come in instead of asking your IT personnel to do this work for you. You can come in and change the content anytime. It will go through its own workflow system. It will have its own approval steps, and it will have its own release process within the workflow that you have defined. All this without any kind of IT intervention. The next point was how we can utilize the existing services that was built and build a new communication channel for the B2B inside a mobile application. So this part was never covered inside Mobily, and these are one of the additional points that we have done from our end to gain this experience, and also to utilize the DXP platform at this point, where we can utilize the services that we have already created inside the portal itself to extend it on other channels, not just for the portal, but we can also extend it for the mobile channels and any kind of e-sale channel that you might have externally. If you can go to the next part. So this is the case study that was from Mobily that we had to cover. Now, these are the Mobily main concerns. And mostly it was concerned only was inside the infrastructure itself. They had the performance degradation. They had issues with the compatibilities between the different environments, from production to pre-production to staging, and also development environments. Other part of the infrastructure was the WCM business and IT, where it was always dependent on IT for them to perform any kind of content update. So this was an issue from their side, whether it required a manual syndication for the pages. Of course, the syndication is the process of moving your content from one environment to another in a bulk workflow. So this means that any changes that you have, you can put them like in one workspace, and whenever you're done with this, it goes through approval process, and all of your workspace will be published on to the next environment. So this is the syndication. For Mobily, what they had to be a manual experience, because they had a lot of constraints going on, whether it was on their personalization engine, whether it was on whether to scope the pages, what we can push, what we can't push. So it was a big issue for them on the old version. But the new version was able to handle this inside the concept of workspaces. The next point was they weren't using the integrated search engine that came with Portal, because they couldn't integrate the solution altogether. So in the new version of DXP, this was simpler to integrate. It was easier, and it was just a configuration based, where you can just put your search engine inside, configure it with your portal, and that way all of your indexing and search engine rules will be implemented on that search engine, and it will make your portals handle the requests better, because you're offloading all of the processing of your search engine inside to a different server. We'll see this point in the architecture when we do a comparison. You'll see it clearly there. Another point that we discussed about is using the rich text editors and using the Word documents, because business users are always used to copy and pasting from the Word document inside the rich text, and then they publish their content. So this was a big issue inside the old version, because there's a lot of support issues, whether it's using the styling, the font styles, or the colors, where it didn't pick up everything. So in the new version of the DXP, this handled this case for us, for the rich text editor, where it supported all the features that was inside Word, from styling, formatting, and stuff like that. It will just copy it over, and it'll take it as is without any additional changes. We can move on to the next one to see the concerns from Mobily. So the previous architecture, as you can see, pretty much this is for a production environment sample, and all of the work and the effort was being done on the portal server, and there were issues in dividing the servers separately to make them each one handling its own component. And these were issues internally, and most likely was the cause of the performance degradation that they have. And as you can see, there's no search engine here because they use an external search engine, Google. And so they were always trying to say, okay, we need to put all these products together, because when you put them all together, the search engine and the portal, you'll have a better indexing performance because it's all integrated all together. If we can move on to the slide, Jason, the architecture. You'll see that where we divided the work across all the servers, so nothing is being scoped inside one server. So here you have the portal service being responsible for the retail shop, for the B2B and B2C. They'll have a different server for the mobile APIs that they have created for the mobile app. And there's a third server for implementing their external services that they need, for example, having Wi-Fi services or having VPN services. And you can see that we separated them in different clusters using different clusters of HTTP servers, and all integrated together using a one deployment manager. And of course, in Mobile, the backends are all based on MQ. So we had close integration with IBM MQ in this regards. And most of the services are actually built using the MQ and utilized. So we are utilizing this with the new DXP platform. We can go to the next slide. Okay. Now, the issue with all the WCM syndication, as we discussed it earlier, is that they had a manual process going on where it needed an IT personnel intervention whenever they need to publish a new content. Now, the proposed new solution was, okay, we should have this in an automatic process. But also, in order to have it in an automatic process, you'll need your own environment to author these contents and to make sure that to simulate your production environment to make sure that everything is okay before you do a final publishing. So this is what we have done. We have created an authoring authoring environment where the business users will come in and start editing their contents and modifying the page layouts, whatever they need to make sure that the contents, everything is okay, and then they test it out on their pre-production environment, which is down below. You see it in the staging zone. And then from the staging zone, once everything's approved and the workflow is done and completed after testing, it will be pushed directly to the production environment. So this was the web content management syndication process that I implemented for them. And you can see that also not only syndicating to a production environment, we're making sure that all of their environments from the SIT, from development environments, that they're all syndicated all together. So they have, each one has the copy exactly as in production. We can go on to the next one. Okay, so now we're going to talk about the ePortal line migration benefits. What exactly did they gain when they moved on to version 9, the latest version that they had for HCL DXP? First of all, we revised the architecture design for the all environment, because in the original one, as we said, there are a lot of performance degradations, whether it was in production or in staging or in the lower environments that they have. So this revision of the architecture was mainly so we can correctly apply where the services will be, where the microservices will be, and where the portal environment should be, and what it should be rendering for each server. This helped in minimizing the compatibility issues between the environments. That way we can have a unique ID across all the environments. So whenever you need to migrate your artifacts from one environment to another, whether it was from portal to portal, whether it's from mobile to mobile, whether it was from Wi-Fi to Wi-Fi, you'll have the same platform, you'll have the same architecture for each environment, and then you can simulate the process of deployment and release to make sure that within each environment you're not having any issues, to make sure when you go on to the next one, you'll be okay without any hiccups coming up for you. You can go on to the next. Okay. Now, for the WCM part, the web content management, this was their main focus because it's one of the main issues that they had. In the new version, the page syndication was able to be done without the manual intervention. So you can easily create your contents and then push them over to the environments for to production directly after it goes through the workflow process approval. This was also a missing point from the old version, which is also existing in the new one, which fixed this issue for them. Next part was to use the remote WCM search service. So this actually helped increasing the rendering of performance substantially, because what's being done now is that we are offloading all of the indexing that's being done by the content management inside the portal environment itself. We're offloading it to a different server so it can handle it separately without affecting the main traffic that comes in through the portal service. The syndication process optimization, it makes live updates and automatically publishing the projects, because once you go through the workflow and you're done, everything's okay, then it will be just okay. The next step will be to publish it directly to the next environment, which is the production. And also we talked about the new rich text editor, which helped out in the copying of the content from Word documents over to the portal environment, which kept all the styling through. And of course, because Portal 9 did a full revamp on the UI of portal administration and content management, it was much easier now for the IT and for the business to actually go inside the portal management UI and work around with it, whether it's for page modifications, creating pages, doing drag and drop layouts, putting your WCM artifacts outside the pages with the layouts that you have created. And all this can be done with the business user himself. So he doesn't need any kind of coding for this for him to work with it. And it doesn't need any kind of IT intervention. You can do everything within these UIs, whether it's personalization rules, whether it's applying the layout, different layouts, even applying styles that's pre-configured inside Portal and been developed by the developers. All this can be done inside these UIs using intuitive interfaces. Go on to the next one. Okay. So what was the main goal of having a DevOps integration? Well, this is a new thing that everyone is going through now, because we want to automate the process. We don't want to go on to the manual process anymore. The manual process always required IT interventions. So they are trying to minimize these interventions as much as possible to have a faster delivery of your services, a faster delivery of your fixes, and to make sure you always have the last release deployed in time. So what's being done inside a DevOps continuous workflow is that the customers will come in, they might have some issues. So when the issues come in, they'll go on to the monitoring support team. They'll check, okay, what's the issue going on, and then they'll go on, tell the business about this, and the business will raise a defect on it. Once the business raises a defect on it, it'll go through the development cycle. So it'll go through the development, it'll be tested, unit tested. After that, it'll go on to the next phase, which is the staging testing. Make sure everything's okay. If there are defects, it'll come back to the developers. And then it'll go on to this cycle up until it reaches the last production release. Now, all of this used to be a manual process. The new process is you're going to automate this using tools. So you can use any kind of DevOps tools to integrate this workflow. You can use a defect management system to control all your defects and make sure where the progress is. And then you use a continuous deployment process, so you can deploy the changes directly when any kind of fix is applied. And then you have continuous integration to make sure that when this fix is ready, you're going to build this three artifacts that can be ready for a release. And then it'll go through this cycle. Now this is what we have done for Mobily and the new version of DXC Portal, is that because they had a lot of issues with integrating this part with the old version. Mostly because of the services that were developed that they weren't DevOps friendly, let's say. And we had to re-architect these projects in a way that they're also using the latest in DXC, which provides these features out of the box where you can easily integrate it into the DevOps process, whether it is for continuous integration or it's for continuous deployment process, using the integration place that has direct out of the box with the DXC process. We can move on to the next slide. Okay, so this is the high level of what we had done for Mobily. We have explained the main pains that Mobily had and how we can fix this using the new DXP platform. As we mentioned earlier, that the main issue was they wanted just to upgrade, and they were having a second thought about whether we should continue on with this portal implementation or not, or we can move on to the next digital experience platform. But once we have added all of these additional features that we can utilize from DXP, they started to hold on even more and more and more to the HCL DXP, saying, no, this is the right pick that we have done, and we're sure that we're going on the right path, especially once we added the new features of the WCM, and they have seen the work with the business, how they're actually doing all the content management on their own, and especially that after we have done the B2B implementation of the mobile application, utilizing the APIs that have been already created inside the portal services, so they can see that, okay, now the portal that we have is actually a fully integrated portal and a channel for all implementations that we might have and we need. And it will also serve as my one point of integration for all of my services that I will need. And also on the next plan, the next phase of Mobily is that they're going to even push more on adding an e-commerce solution on top of the DXP implementations they already have, and they're going to utilize the latest in HCL e-commerce solutions so they can have it even further and better platform and serve a lot of more customers with it. And thank you guys very much for listening. You can contact us anytime for all the details. And Antonio, you can, if we have any questions, Q&A.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Karim, for this talk. It was great to hear about this success story. A couple questions already came in. Let's wait for some more. Please, all the attendees, please feel free to ask questions via the Q&A section. The first question came in a few minutes earlier. I think you addressed it partly in this during your last sentences. It's what does the future look like for Mobily?
Well, Mobily now is going on for the microservices implementations, and they're going on to extending their portal solution inside the e-commerce implementation. So now they're going to move their existing platform that they have onto the new digital experience platform to extend all the features utilizing the WCM content for product management and to handle all the prices and ordering systems that they have as services inside DXP. So this is the next step from Mobily that they're going on, and they're going on right now as we speak.
Great. So you did this migration to version 9. You mentioned it was really successful, and that you not only did the technical migration, but also that you did some restyling or re-architecting of their site, creating new components, etc. That sounds like a fairly big project. How long did it take you to go through all these phases?
Yeah, for the migration project, what we did, it was pretty much around a 9-month timeline project. And originally it was just for migrating the platform as is to the new version, but we utilized the time frame to say, okay, we're not going to focus on this part because this is just a minor win. We want the best gain that you can have of this project that we're going to have with you guys. So inside of 9 months, we were able to migrate the version from 8 to 9. We were able to revamp the retail shops that they have to the new version of DXP for the B2B and B2C consumer business users. And we're also able to create a mobile application for the B2B inside of this timeline as well on the new service that we're creating inside Portal. Now, the B2B part of the revamp pretty much took us around maybe 4 months, you can say. We were able to create the new UI, the new theme, and everything, and integrate them all together inside of DXP within 4 months. So that's how quick the platform was able to give us a good solid platform for us to build the services that they need inside the new look and feel.
Great. So I think we're now moving to somewhat more technical questions. Here's also a question that says, why did you choose to set up syndication to production from staging instead of authoring?
That's a good question.
Dimitri, maybe you can go back to the syndication slide to help Karim with that. Yeah, there's one. Thank you.
Yeah. That's a good question, actually. Well, what we did is that this protocol, this staging environment that we have set up, we wanted it to be a replication of production. So in production, you won't have the content only. You have content plus services. In the authoring environment, you'll only be having the content. You won't be having the services. So what we did, we utilized the staging environment to be a pre-step for us before production, to make sure that the contents that were created that are well integrated inside the services that are going to be used with it, and make sure everything's okay inside the staging environment, and then we can push it over to the production. So that was the case for us where we utilized the staging for, is to make sure that integration between the content and the service was okay before we push everything over to production.
So also, you mentioned performance degradation. What was the cause of the performance degradation? The product itself, or was it something else? And what was that?
Okay. It was mainly from the features that were being utilized from the product itself. So in the old version, there was an issue when creating, for example, the themes of the portal. It wouldn't catch the theme artifacts well. So it's always be serving a new version every time, as well as doing an aggregation of all of the theme resources together. It has an issue with that. Now in the new DXP, it gave us the capability of enabling advanced caching for these theme artifacts, as well as aggregating the theme artifacts all together. So instead of serving, for example, 400 files of theme resources, you'll be saving one file as a theme resource, would actually have a better performance indicator for your browser as a client, and also to offload the traffic itself. So it will be, instead of serving 100 connections, each connection will be serving 1 megabyte each. You're only serving with one connection, will be in total maybe around 2 megabytes total. So we were able to utilize the theme aggregation features that's inside DXP to make the page load faster and more dynamic for the users. That's one point. Other point was from the implementation of the service itself, where we had to re-architect the services to utilize the best features inside Portal itself for it to work well.
Great. Thank you very much, Karim, for this talk again and for answering all those questions. To the attendees, thanks once again for joining us and for the questions that came in. As we mentioned, the replay of this session will be available next week. Please don't forget to sign up for our monthly newsletter to get the latest information about upcoming events and new product capabilities, etc. Use the link on the screen to submit your questions for the Meet the Developer session, which I'm putting on the chat right now. And sorry, there it goes. So again, this link is for questions to the product developers for the session that will take place tomorrow. Yeah, and enjoy the rest of the conference. Thank you very much.